The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
We are officially starting taking action for building the Anaklia port. This is what the Prime Minister keeps repeating from time to time, mainly at the executive government meetings. According to the head of government of Georgia, 51% will belong to the state, while 49% will be tendered internationally. Nevertheless, the government will not wait until investors express their interest, and construction works will commence this year. Irakli Garibashvili recently noted that roads and highways are actively constructed, airports extended, and other concepts developed. The government of Georgia cancelled the agreement with the Anaklia Development Consortium to build the Anaklia Deep Sea Port on January 9, 2020. The consortium currently runs the international arbitration case against the government of Georgia. We heard the Prime Minister saying that they will start building Anaklia. Is it realistic at all?
No, it's not realistic. It's not realistic for at least two reasons. Number one is to be the 51% equity owner in the Anaklia project requires mobilizing over $300 million of investment just for the first year. The Georgian government does not have $300 million in cash and credit resources to be the 51% shareholder of Anaklia. Number two, who's going to be the 49% shareholder? There is no reputable international investor that will come in as a minority shareholder under the control. Most of them don't want to do it under the control of any government, but much less one that has a very bad record in its dealing with foreign businesses, such as the Georgian government. So it's completely impractical. What they have done is every project that has collapsed on their watch, Anaklia, Namakhwani, Khudoni, they say, we're going to build it ourselves, okay? And so they're going to spend a little money, they're going to send the bulldozers out, move around some dirt, maybe put in a pipe, just do a little bit before the elections in 2024 to show that they're doing something. That's all that they're capable of doing. This is not opinion. I mean, this is simply a matter of resources. And again, we point out this, that one of the major remaining obstacles to the Anaklia port moving forward under the Anaklia Development Consortium, on whose board I serve, was the fact that the international banks were asking for a loan repayment guarantee, which had been negotiated down to a level of about $150 million. A guarantee, not cash, but simply a conditional liability and a guarantee. The European Union was offered, willing, and still is, to put up 50 to 75 million of that money as long as the Georgian government would match it. Now think, you're in business, what a connection and integration that would have been with the European Union for the Georgian government to co-guarantee with the EU that project. And the other 50 to 75 million was to come from Badri Japaridze and Mamuka Khazaradze. The government was like, oh no, we can't have a conditional liability, which doesn't require them to put out one tetri. We can't have a conditional liability of 50 million as a guarantor of this project, even if it would integrate us into the European Union, and even if the European Union wants it. And here they're saying they're going to lay out 300 million in cash from the pension fund, from the Georgian Railway. They're going to basically liquidate the state's resources to invest into the Anaklia project. Well, then how are they going to build Namakhwani? But they don't have the money. So again, sadly, there's many times that you have to realize that they're lying and they're dishonest. And so when they say that, oh, we can't do a $50 million state guarantee, but we can throw $300 million of cash and credit into the Anaklia project from your pension fund, you have to realize that there's something dishonest going on there.
And the last point on this PMC research, I don't know if you have seen that, asked 60 economists, what do you think about this 51% stake that the state is taking?
I haven't seen that. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and the result. This was in February, and 39% said they didn't know how to assess the decision. Positive and negative answers were equal. It was 17 and 17%, and only 11% assessed the decision as totally negative. Oh.
I think they need to spend more time learning about the Georgian government and economics. Because I can tell you, and it really ought to be obvious to anybody, the Georgian government cannot mobilize $300 million in investment resources to do what is even the first phase of the Anaklia project. They simply don't have it. When they were asked, where are you going to get the money, Minister Davitashvili said something vague like, well, we have the Georgian Oil and Gas Company, we have the Georgian Railroad, so I mean, we have the pension fund. So what they're saying is, they're going to take, remember, a pension fund is supposed to be money that is kept safe for retirement. They're going to put pension fund money, cash, which I know doesn't add up to $300 million, but anyway, they're going to take people's pension, the money that they put them in, and put it into a risky and speculative investment. They call Anaklia a risky and speculative investment.
Non-bankable.
Non-bankable, that's their party line. That's what they're going to do with pension funds? That's outrageous, it's a joke, okay? That's not going to happen. And what are they going to do? Mortgage the Georgian Railroad's assets in order to borrow the money? Wait a minute, the Georgian Railroad already has hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bondholders overseas. They're not going to allow the assets of Georgian Railroad to be mortgaged for the Anaklia project because they're the bondholders. They have priority in payment. The Georgian government does not have the resources. It isn't going to happen. You know, and not to mention, again, if you add it to all the other promises that they've made about building projects themselves, like Namajuani or Kudoni, it tells you that it's absolutely impossible. So this is, I'm sorry to say, simply a joke. This is a joke that they're in on. But it is something that, again, where they're peddling propaganda to their voters that is absolutely false, and they assume that their voters are stupid. And that is one of the things about them, and one of the things that I very much do not agree with. I know Georgians, I know Georgian people in rural parts of this country. I talk to them, I know people around. My experience with the average Georgian is that they have a lot more common sense than most of the politicians, whether they're the ruling party or the opposition.
And we've seen them just recently in the streets making the ruling party pull out the
Exactly.
the
They accomplishing something spontaneously that the political parties have failed to do for a long time. I hate to be so critical of the opposition political parties because, of course, they've performed an important role. They have been important critics of the government. There's a lot of smart and nice people in them, but unfortunately, they don't do very well at organizing the public and getting out and organizing voters. And that's the real gap in Georgian politics.